You know, wildfire season used to run like clockwork in Colorado. Well, that clock is now broken.
And if there is anything the Marshall Fire taught us, it's that fires can have devastating impacts any time of the year, even here on the Front Range.
Well, tonight, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne takes an in-depth 360 look at fire season in Colorado and why we now have to be prepared year-round.
I mean, I'm speechless at what we're witnessing across the street. A building completely engulfed in flames.
It wasn't easy to cover.
This fire continues tonight to pick off home after home after home.
Nor was it easy to fight.
These firefighters do an incredible job. This fire is so huge, it's everywhere.
And perhaps most difficult of all, witnessing that kind of destruction, especially for those who once called this place home.
We'll rebuild right here.
But it also provides a lesson.
The Marshall Fire really highlighted the risk that is there. A bit of a wake-up call for everyone here along the Front Range.
Let's go 360 on wildfire in Colorado, the new normal.
I'm Russ Schumacher. I am the Colorado State climatologist and also associate professor of atmospheric science at Colorado State University.
As Schumacher points out, the Marshall Fire is proof wildfires are no longer just a mountain thing.
This is something that I think we're going to have to continue to be aware of, be prepared for. People who live in areas that are vulnerable to fire, which the Marshall Fire shows that is probably more of us than we maybe had been thinking.
You don't have to be living in the timber up in Summit County to have bad things happen.
No one knows that better than the guys on the front lines.
I'm Tyler Zagaski. I'm the captain here at West Metro Fire Station 9, which is our lead wildland station.
Captain Zagaski says the term for the Marshall Fire and Waldo Canyon in Colorado Springs is conflagration, an extensive fire which destroys a great deal of land or property.
Whether it's the Great Chicago Fire or one of the London fires, you have unlimited potential for fire spread. And in that case of Marshall, that's what we had. It really stopped being a wildfire, and the fuel model itself was home to home and neighborhood to neighborhood.
Firefighters and other experts say the key takeaway from the Marshall Fire,
the grass fires feeding off these violent winds,
is that nearly everyone living in Metro Denver and along the Front Range is in some kind of danger zone.
We have a lot of new people moving from out of state that might not be aware of the unique features and risks part of living in an arid climate with large population growth.
Fire officials say every single one of us should have a plan in place.
In general, what we worry about with neighborhoods is what we call ember cast, and that's when you see lots of sparks just flying through the air, and they're looking for a place to land.
Eric Hurst with South Metro Fire suggests a few simple mitigation tips. That includes swapping out mulch for rocks, gravel, or pavers, moving patio furniture, firewood, and play sets 6 to 10 feet away from your home, and relocating trash cans and other combustibles.
In some ways along the Colorado Front Range, we have to look at this as a year-round fire season.
It's essentially 365 days a year. And just because we've had recent precipitation, there is not a complete recovery of that drought. So there are still a lot of dry fuels out there. We can expect this to be a continuing issue that we will be faced with.
It won't be necessarily every year, but the bad years will be worse.
And there's a cascading effect. Wildfires increase flood risks.
So we had the burn scar in Glenwood Canyon, and then the heavy rains, and then the debris flows, and then I-70 shut down for weeks.
It's not all doom and gloom. The good news is, with each catastrophe, those on the front lines are learning a lot about how to better fight these fires and be more prepared.
I do feel that our department is capable of responding in a number of different ways, whether it's big fuel breaks or areas where you can place some equipment. It may seem like small drops in the bucket, but that does add up over time to say, okay, this is kind of where we're drawing a line.
Russell Haythorne.
It needs to be our attitudes and what we can do as people.
Denver 7.
Still shocking images. Boulder County investigators are still determining the cause of the Marshall Fire, and they say it could take weeks or even months before we know anything more.